Hey guys, this is Pastor Tito here. Welcome to week 2 of our youth series called Explained. Now, I'm sure you have some crazy stories that have happened to you, your family, or your friends. And I got one story that happened, not to me, true story that happened a long time ago. It was during this time where this one wicked king had conquered and overrun and was controlling this people that were being oppressed. And so one guy wanted to stand up and do something. And so he was a left-handed warrior. And a lot of people knew who this guy was. And so he wanted to have a meeting with this king. Now, because they knew who he was and they knew that he was deadly, right, with his left side, they checked his left side only where he would normally hold his weapons, not realizing that he hid the dagger on his right side. So as he goes and he's having this diplomatic meeting with the king dismisses the courts, dismisses everybody, and it's just the king and this guy. And as the king goes and starts talking, the guy leans in, whips out the sword from the other side, stabs him in his belly. And now this guy was so fat that the whole dagger went through, the whole dagger, sword, mini sword, went in and through so much that the stomach fat consumed the weapon. All right? And then his guts all spilled out, whatever. By the time they realized what had happened, that guy was long gone. You know what's crazy? That story's in the Bible. All right? It's in the Old Testament. That's in the Bible. Now, it doesn't mean that we got permission to do stuff like that at all. But that's a crazy story. And let's be honest, the Bible is filled with crazy stories. Things that was like, whoa, hold on. Did that really happen? Did this happen? Did he really do that? And that's part of the situation for us to struggle with. But that's also what makes God so amazing, is that there's a lot of great things in there that are hard to explain, things, miraculous things that God did, but it helps us to better understand who God is. Now that one, all right, we're not gonna tackle the one with the dagger and the fat guy, all right? We're gonna leave that one for another day. But here's the thing I want to bring back to you. Now remember, you look at that story, right? You look at that story and you'll be like, all right, this doesn't make sense. Like, what's the point of the story? Why did God put this in the story? And remember what I said last week, that everything, if you want the Bible explained better, you have to realize that the Bible is a book about God, not you. And everything in the Bible points to Jesus. And the more you know Jesus, the more you know God. And so you look at that story, I'm like, yo, where's Jesus with the dude in the dagger and the fat guy, right? Where's Jesus in that story? Well, that is hard to tell there. But what you do is, I'm gonna give you a trick that you can do to here's how to read the Bible. Any approach you can do, no matter what text you're doing. All right, zoom out. Read what happened before, read what happened after. And keep zooming out until you can get the big picture. Sometimes we zoom in on something so much and we don't get it. Well, if you want, and here's the bottom line, if you want to understand better, if you want the text to be explained better, you need to understand the context of the text. You need to understand the context in order to better understand the text for then and then for today. That's a really important thing that would help a lot of us. It's helped me a lot, and it's helped a lot of people in order to how to read the Bible, how to better explain and understand the Bible. Because everything in the Bible, even in that crazy story, it all points to Jesus one way or another. Now, some are obvious. Some are, okay, I can see Jesus there. But others, like the one I told you, it's like, I don't see Jesus there. And I know sometimes it's a little harder, but you know what? That's what the mystery is for. This is the mystery of who God is, that Jesus himself, the Holy Spirit, will reveal to us. But we have to be able to approach confusing texts, okay? Confusing parts of the Bible with courage, knowing that God can and will be able to understand better who he is. So let's just do one, for example. Philippians 4:13 is a popular verse, right? It says, I am able to do all things through him, Jesus, who gives me strength. Now, a lot of times people look at this and say, all right, got it. That's easy. I understand. Jesus gives me the ability to do anything I want. And people take this verse and say, well, I can do anything. I can accomplish my hopes and dreams, and God will help me to accomplish my hopes and dreams. Nope, no, you're dreaming. That's not how that verse works. This verse is not talking about how God will encourage you and give you the power to do the impossible, to do everything that you've always wanted to do. Nope. When you zoom out and you look at the context, the verses right before Paul says this and after, it actually shows that this verse says how to be happy with what you have. Paul says, listen, I know what it's like to have a lot, and I know what it's like to have a little. I can do all things in Jesus who gives me strength. Meaning, it doesn't matter my circumstances. I can learn to find joy and contentment no matter how much or how little I have, because how much how much I have of God. And so see, that's one example. If you zoom in, you get a little element, but the more you zoom out, the text becomes clearer. So I want to encourage you to do that. As you read the Bible this week, as you read the Bible anytime, zoom in and then zoom out and ask questions. Last week I told you to ask 3 questions, right? Every time you read a text, to better understand and explain the text to you, ask, what does this verse tell me about God? What does this verse tell me about me? Who am I? And what does this tell me on how I should live and treat others or not treat others? That's one thing. I'm gonna add a couple more questions, ready? The more you zoom out, ask every question you can think of. Who, what, when, where, why, okay? Ask those questions. That helps you as you zoom out and look at the context, it helps to bring greater clarity. Who wrote the book of the verse that I'm reading right now? Who did this person write it to? When was this written? Who is talking right now in what I just read? Who is he talking to? Where are they in the text? Why is he saying that? What happened? Okay, all of these questions are super important. Now, I understand you or nor I, we're not theologians and we're not the smartest people in the bunch. Maybe we don't get it all. And look, I get it. There's a lot of things in the text that I need explained to me. So here's what you can do. I challenge you, if you don't have one, get yourself a study Bible. A study Bible puts all of these notes in every chapter, every verse of the Bible to help explain even the craziest things. But before you dive into the study notes, before you go and see what someone else is telling you what the verse is, let the Holy Spirit guide you. And one of the greatest ways to be guided by the Spirit of God when you look at a confusing text is asking questions and look at the whole context in order to better understand the text. All right, so I want you to challenge that. I want to challenge you this week because the more you understand the text, the more you understand Jesus, and the better you understand Jesus, the more you get to know who God is and how much He loves you. So, I want you to tackle even the most confusing verses with courage because God can and wants to reveal Himself to you through His Word.